A lot of people hated the Marauder around the release of Doom Eternal, most with pretty good reason. But is he really a badly designed enemy, or just something players don't particularly like? Well, I'm your host Vert343, and today we're going to answer that. Let's start off with an in-depth overview of the Marauder and his abilities, for reference and for any of you in the audience who may not have played against him yet. The Marauder is a super heavy demon created from the resurrection of a fallen Night Sentinel. He wields an Argent-powered Crucible Axe and carries an Argent-based Riot Shield of some form. His shield is entirely impervious to damage, including that from anti-shield weapons such as the Plasma Rifle. He wears some armor, however it is of literally no importance in terms of killing him faster that I know of. The Marauder pressures the Slayer by keeping up with him and being up in his face, using his shield to block most damage and only being vulnerable when he attempts to attack, although he may look vulnerable at any time when running around. However, do not be fooled, because if his shield isn't up, he can pull it up instantaneously, if he isn't in his vulnerability window. The Marauder has 4 primary attacks: axe throwing, smacking you with his axe, his not so super shotgun, and his wolf. His axe throws are generally done from longer ranges, however they can occasionally be triggered to happen at close to medium range, which can make them quite hard if not impossible to dodge. His melee attacks on the other hand is actually when he's most vulnerable, as he has a short charge up with a distinct sound which indicates when you should hit him with heavy damage. Hitting him with heavy damage while he's charging up will stun him out of his attack and give you a chance to get a second shot in. A reliable weapon for doing the necessary damage is the Ballista, which does more than enough damage with a single shot and is very accurate. Alternatively, the Super Shotgun is also viable for stunning him because it does very heavy damage and has pretty reasonable range for a shotgun. His shotgun attack is only ever deployed when it's almost point blank and is almost impossible to avoid if triggered. However, it's very easy to avoid triggering and doesn't really do more damage than any of his other attacks. His wolf is likely his weakest attack, as it does not do particularly significant damage compared to his other attacks and is easily thwarted with any weapon, especially shotguns. The Marauder has moderate amounts of health, nowhere near the amount of a Tyrant or Cyber Mancubus, but not nearly as low as a Zombie or Imp, probably about the same amount as a Hell Knight. A lot of people disliked the Marauder as an enemy near the launch of Doom Eternal because he breaks a lot of the laws of combat, namely, never slow down the pace. This is one thing I absolutely agree with. The Marauder slows the game to a crawl, forcing you to duel him and take 30 plus seconds just to finish off one enemy, while literally every other enemy in the game can be dealt with in 1 to 5 seconds except bosses. The second law of Doom Eternal that he breaks is super weapons. He has immunity to super weapons. This also includes the Crucible, although you can technically damage him with the BFG, you have to get it around his shield, which is a lot easier said than done, while the Crucible just returns an invalid target. An immunity to super weapons and slowing down the pace alone doesn't really constitute a bad enemy though. For example, the Archvile has a massive shield, makes encounters take a lot longer, and takes a shit ton of ammo to kill unless you use a super weapon. Even if you gave the Archvile super weapon immunity, he'd be a hard fight, but it wouldn't feel unfair. It wouldn't be outright bad design. No, the element that makes the Marauder considerably more unfair than any other enemy in the game is the requirement that you change your playstyle. If you like to play in the air, that shit won't work against the Marauder. How about getting up in his face? Nope. Sniper? Nope. You literally just had to play his little medium range game, which would be just fine if you didn't make it so unclear what medium, close and long range actually is. On the other hand, the change of playstyle can be considered a challenge, which it certainly is until you properly learn his timing. In my opinion, this was perfectly fine for the boss fight, as it made for a challenging and engaging boss fight without just giving the Marauder a gigantic health bar and a set of attacks. Another advantage to his design is that he's a sort of rival to the Slayer, an anti-Slayer if you will. Encountering him at the end of a long fight is like encountering your rival in Pokemon. It brings about a unique type of challenge, although still under roughly the same rules as the challenges before it. On the whole, I think the Marauder is a somewhat badly designed enemy in regards to Doom Eternal. However, overall he's actually really well designed and thought out, and he's really well executed as well. My main problem within Doom Eternal is that he flips the script entirely, making him nearly impossible to beat first try for even a good player, and then becomes really easy when you get done kicking his ass for the 36th time. His timing is always the same, there's nothing to keep you on your feet after you learn his attack patterns and get his timing down. Even the most boring other super heavy, the Tyrant, gives you reasons to use your cool Doom abilities like it's going out of style. Plus he has a much bigger hitbox and many different ways to fight him, the complete opposite of the Marauder. In addition to this, the Marauder can be cheesed extremely quickly if you've got enough skill and practice, which makes him a boring, unfun enemy who doesn't even get 10 seconds of some people's time because they're that sick of his shit. Thank you all for watching. I have been your host, Vert343, and I am now signing off. Peace out, gentlemen.